culture is made of is who are our heroes. Who do we lift up, legendary or real? Who do we tell stories about, and who do we value? Who do we look to as models for how we want to be? That's part of what culture is. So is parades and holidays. That's part of culture. And so being involved with the parade and creating and giving the Nobel Peace Prize are just part of that same idea. And so the Nobel Peace Prize is conducted as nominations from the community. People just nominate who they think embodies that idea, which is not clearly defined, partly on purpose. And from that, a selection committee, who is volunteers and is chosen every year differently, decides who among the nominees they think for them embodies the Nobel Peace Prize this year. This year's Nobel Peace Prize is especially important to me for two reasons. The first is that one of the members of the selection committee was my mother-in-law, and she has spent a lifetime of peace activism, which I won't go into, but not the least of which included a march across our entire country for global nuclear disarmament in the 80s. She passed away yesterday, and voting for this year's Nobel Peace Prize recipient was one of her final acts of peace, which she was thrilled to be able to do because in her declining health in the past couple of years, she hasn't been able to march in the streets and carry a sign and do a lot of really active things which she had spent her life doing. So this act of voting, this act of sort of passing the torch, if you will, was important to her as a longtime supporter of the Ojai Peace Coalition and of me personally. And so I just wanted to make mention of that is on my mind anyway as we give this award tonight, that was something that she did. This year's Nobel Peace Prize recipient, and this is the second reason why it's important to me, is a great friend of mine, a beautiful spirit in this valley and in the world where she is known, all over the world. She recognizes that there are two pieces of wisdom that come to mind for me when I think of this person. The first is from Gandhi, which paraphrased is, if we are to wage a true war against war, we must start with the children. And the second is from Maria Montessori, who said that the real work of lasting peace is through education. And so our Nobel Peace Prize recipient recognizes that and probably lots of other wisdom, both of her own and of other people's, and has put that into action, has created a school where the issues of equality and justice and peace and all the beautiful things that are this weekend are about, that Joe read in our proclamation, the things that we want to see in our world are part of their education. It isn't, we're going to train you to work in a factory, and if you also learn how to resolve conflict, that's kind of cool. You know, it's part of it. It's intimately part of it, and it's what makes whole people. And so, although the selection committee is who came up with this, that's what I'm bringing to it. That this beautiful soul realizes how important it is to create whole people and educate about peace specifically, not just hope that you pick it up somewhere. So, with that, I would like to bring to the front Ms. Sally Carless. Continues to work very, very hard on that. And this, dear, is your Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, there is something.
Very much. You may have some words if you would like. Okay, I'll stick with you.
I want to thank everyone, the committee, the people that put together this amazing weekend. It makes a big difference to get some acknowledgement in our own hometown. start a school and think you can change the world. And there's moments where I really think, oh my God, what are we trying to do here? And so it's times like this, I gotta tell you, your timing is really good. It really matters. And I guess that's the other thing that I wanna say to everyone is that what you do matters. And who you are matters. It matters that you care enough to be here tonight and to do all of the different things that you do for peace, whether it's on a scale that anybody notices or whether it's in your own family with your kids, at city council meetings where people can be really obnoxious. And I also want to acknowledge our staff, because it's one thing to have an idea like this, and but it doesn't happen just with one person, and this wouldn't still be happening without our staff. So I'm going to ask them to stand up, and this is Gretchen Buck right here. Meg Easling. Mary Kay Blackman. And Tanya Montgomery. And they're all really amazing people, and they show up and they do this day after day after day. And the reason that we're able to help kids is because of them and the other people that are on our staff. And I just want to tell you a couple little things about Global Village. We are an international peace education program. We cover all the academics, but we also focus, like Evan was saying, we teach about peace and justice and diversity and human rights and the environment. We've developed a new curriculum just this fall called the Whole Child Healthy Planet curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. And we're starting out using it with homeschoolers. Then the next step is to get it into private schools. And I would love it someday if the public schools could use some of what we're doing, because there are such beautiful, beautiful resources out there. And so we've been looking for the films and the books and put it all together in a way that people can use. And what we're working for is to empower youth to be like Evan. And we don't have any Evans yet, but we have some pretty amazing young people. There's one who's in the Middle East right now, a graduate who's traveling as a journalist, and he has a blog, and he's writing about the issues out there, and he's covering the protests of the wall in Palestine. We have a graduate who's Native American, who's working on Native issues, and he co-produced a radio show, and he's talked to people in Congress in Sacramento about tribal issues. We have a couple of high school students that are, one is in New York and one is in Alabama, and each one of them is working on a project with a different civil rights activist from the 60s, and they're interviewing them and getting the footage and getting the stories while they still can. So we're working to empower kids to be really who they are and to be wise and capable stewards of the planet and each other. And since you're all listening, I just really, really want to acknowledge Evan for all that he does, who he is, and I get to because I've got the floor.